Welcome to Married to. I'm Anisha.
I'm Charlie.
Today we are going to discuss one of the most sought after conversations that I have had even just this week on more days than not, and I'm doing it by surprise, so Charlie has to answer honestly. Charlie, what are your thoughts about women being in the workforce?
Women being in the workforce. All right, let's see how many people I can offend today. What a great way to start.
Yeah. You want me to go ahead and tell you first?
I guess can we elaborate? Like, what specifically are you asking? Like, because that's a very broad question.
Okay, so let me go ahead and tell you what one of them that was put on the table the other day that happened.
Okay.
So right now there's a huge controversy online, okay, between there are so many women that want to be boss babes and do all the things, right? There are your other select group of women who are still trying to work and be faith-based. And then there are your women who, shout out to you, that these women are going to know who I'm talking about, and I love it, right? We don't want to work anymore. We want to go home. We want to be with our kids. We want to cook and bake and just do Pilates and be hot when they come home, right? So, Charlie, elaborate from there. What are men's
Elaborate
thoughts?
from there. What are men's thoughts?
Yeah, I actually sent you one of the videos yesterday. You probably haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I sent you a man's thoughts
Yeah,
and opinions
I've
on
seen
this.
it.
Did you? Okay.
I watch what you send me, just not the other way around. Never watch anything I
Facts.
send
No, I'm just kidding. I actually do watch quite a bit of it.
you. Yeah. Anyway, as far as okay, so what are men's thoughts as far as women in the workforce? I'll tell you right now, I've never once met a man that wants women in the workforce, and I don't mean it in a derogatory way, but even as a husband, as a father myself, the last thing I want is that my wife has to work.
Okay.
The last thing I want is that my wife is subject to someone else, right? I think we briefly talked on a little bit last week, right? A lot of women will adhere to their bosses. Their boss says, come here, do this, do that. I expect this, I expect that. They do it. And then by the time they get home, they don't want to do that with their husband, which I think creates a lot of bickers.
Yep. Do you think that's a lot of the imbalance in the world right now?
I do.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest lies the devil will put in this world is that women need to work so they can feel as adequate as men. They have this weird sense of, if I'm not building a business, if I'm not working a job, I'm not contributing, I'm not as much, I'm not this and that. And we acted like raising children was less important than handling billing for an agency, or like moving grain bags, or I don't understand how that was less, and how we viewed that as less, right? Like most women are in what types of professions, right? Teaching, nursing, which is already very similar, and it's because you guys are better at it than we are, right?
So what do you think about that? Like women being in that kind of a workforce? Because that's been from what, 1800s?
Well, and yeah, and once again, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And when it originally started, you had a lot of women who their husband was a doctor, so she was kind of the nurse, right?
So the helper.
Yeah, and it was kind of the yin and yang, and you love that word, helper.
I do.
I know you do.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it in a mean way. I just mean you say it all the time.
Because I genuinely feel like that's what we are called to do. I do. I think we are called to literally help while you guys are meant to work. I feel like there is a huge difference.
Well, and that's biblical, right? Despite what anybody wants to talk about nowadays, and all the little debates they have about like the head of the house, all these things. The Greek word kafal, when it's used with an A, does talk about a leadership role, responsibility to make decisions, the final say in things. The reference a lot of times used is, husbands are like the source of a river, while women are the river. And they try to say that, that just means you're supposed to nourish and provide. And it's like, it's true, but we also dictate what type of water it is and what direction that river flows. And that's our responsibility, right? When we look at Genesis, the curse of women and for men when we got kicked out of the garden was the ground will grow thistles and thorns, and men will have to work the ground and provide and blah, blah, blah. Women, it was obviously the pain of childbirth and et cetera that comes with it, as well as you will desire to have control over your husband, but he shall rule over you.
Right. Which is hard.
Very.
Yeah.
And I think it's on both sides, right? I know men nowadays love to throw the women's side out, like, oh, like what I say goes, and it's like, well, first off, that just means the direction of the family, not the.
But you also have to be respectable too, right?
Well, and it's what comes with it, right? Like, okay, cool. You want her to listen to your direction, this and that. Cool. You're held responsible for everything that happens then. Let's have that conversation. So if you want to be the head of a household and this is happening with your kids, that's your fault. If you want to be the head of the household and your finances look like this, that's your fault. If you want to be the head of the household and your house is bad, your cars are bad, whatever it is, that's your fault. If you want the privilege and the high stakes of saying I'm the leader of the household, then you get the responsibilities of it. You're going to be held accountable for everything, and the Bible tells us that. If my kids don't know God, I'm the one held accountable, not you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. If I'm willing to step into that role, I have to step into that role and own that role as a whole. That includes I have to make the decision, but let's be honest. When decisions are life and death and decisions are quality of life and all that, those are not decisions we want to make, right? Like, we want to talk about who's making the decision, and most of the time people are uncomfortable even picking where they want to eat, let alone, hey, should the family live here or live here? And you have to make the decision of, well, which is going to be best for my family. And that's where I feel like for men, it's very black and white. So like for me, it would be very plain and simple. Okay, well, this one makes the most sense. It's the better house. It's cheaper. It makes more money, more this, more that, whatever, more security. It's safer. It's whatever. And then that's where my responsibility is to take your opinion into account when it comes to that. Because like I said, we were designed to protect and provide. And you were designed to make us human. So you'll give me but the kids have a lot of friends here, our family's here, our this is here, now that. You keep the humanity side of it.
Right.
So.
So what is something, or what are things we've been together almost 10 years now, what are some things that you feel like you would have done differently, or that you would have learned or maybe situated with us, working together, or just in our relationship period?
What do you mean? I don't.
Is there anything that you feel like over the last 10 years, like that you could give advice, like maybe you did this, but you wish you would have done this, especially as we're learning and growing? Because let's be honest, we're not perfect. We're every relationship. So our goal here is to talk to you guys, and then also to hopefully give some insight to help.
Yeah, I mean, who am I talking to? Am I talking to a teenager? Am I talking to someone in their 20s? Like when I was, like what are we talking about?
I mean, like in the last 10 years. So we got together.
On the man side or the woman's advice side?
You would
who
have
am I
been
talking to?
21. I was 26.
I've been 22.
22.
We got together.
Okay. Yeah. So honestly, I would say, my thoughts would be for, basically people that are getting started. Couples that are getting started that really want to try to live, a path of following God from the beginning, and, things that we did right and things that we did wrong that we, wish we could have done differently.
Okay. So first and foremost, I would say you're dating, you're not married. Know the difference. Own the difference. Okay? A lot of times nowadays when people date, they immediately do things like they're married. They make decisions like they're married. They plan their future like they're married. They depend on things like they're married. They do financial stuff like they're married. And then they're trapped, and it makes breakups so awkward, and people, get stuck in bad situations. That is not the design. That is not how it's meant to be. That's a modern day world thing. That's a, Hallmark Channel thing. It's not biblical. Dating is not to pass time. Dating is not to have fun. Dating is to see, do I want to marry this person? For men, is this a woman who has the attributes of a wife I want, who has the attributes of a mother that I want to raise my kids, and that even when she's driving me up a wall and I want to pull my hair out, will I still choose to take care of her over myself? And when you can fully answer those three questions without hesitation, then you found her. If you hesitate, if it's a negotiate, if it's a well, but, or if, then she ain't the one and you're not ready. So that would be the biggest thing is first and foremost, develop yourself. You are a husband, you are a wife. When you're ready, you become that person's husband or wife when you get married. Women, men are not projects. Stop acting like they are. I'm gonna call you out. I see it time and time again. The expression I heard some girl say the other day was like, oh, well, they say all the time that you can't turn a hoe into a housewife, but they expect us to turn these boys into men and these thugs and these this and that into men. It's like, no, we don't. We want you to avoid them. We want you to leave them. That's not your job. Stop chasing them. Stop acting like you do it. Women nowadays grow up playing house, playing marriage, playing all these things. So by the time they're 18 and 21 and 25, they're bursting to find a husband, get married. Is this the guy? I think. No, like.
But do you think that
off.
boils down to, like, for instance, in at least 2 of my marriages previously, I know that the mothers were the only ones that raised them, and I feel like they were probably the 2 most, I don't want to say the word awful, but they were the 2 that were probably the most, it was probably the most unhealthy relationship. But I do feel like I was trying to fix them, but they were both raised by their mothers specifically. There was no father in the picture, and do you think that that's part of it?
No, I think that's an excuse.
But if you go back to the women are in the workforce, right? They saw their mom working all the time. They didn't see a dad working. They didn't see all that. So then they became soft,
No, it's
I
an
feel like.
excuse.
Okay.
Pure excuse.
So do you think that that's something that
By
you're
the
born with
time
then?
you are 18 years old, you are a grown adult.
Okay.
Nothing in your childhood and all these things are excuses anymore. You live in America. You are blessed beyond any belief you could possibly imagine. You have no idea the insane customs in other countries that still happen to this day. There is still public slave trades that are legal. There are still women who are not allowed to speak. There are still kids who are put into awful positions in the workforce and even sexually that is considered legal in other countries. We are insanely blessed. When you are a grown adult, it is your responsibility to grow into who you are supposed to be. It is your responsibility to handle your past, to handle your traumas, your triggers. It is your responsibility to develop and grow into who you're supposed to be.
But like in those
It is not
two
my wife's job to
relationships-
teach me how to be a man. It is not my wife's job to teach me how to be a husband, because you will never be able to teach me either one of those things.
But I think part of the issue is, though, I think you're kind of misinterpreting what I'm saying. So, like, when I was in those 2 relationships, I was essentially the head of the household, but that's all they were ever familiar
Nope,
with.
doesn't matter.
So it doesn't
Once
matter.
again, that's like I said, it's an excuse.
Okay.
It does not matter. It's
So where do you think they
saying-
learn this from? Is this something that they're born with, or do you genuinely
not
feel
a
like
it's not a learned. It was a comfortable. It was a, I don't have to make decisions. I don't have to go out and work. I don't have to provide.
But don't you feel
I
like they
don't
need
have
to
do
break
these
those
things.
habits and those traits and like
Yes.
start to own their role?
They have to. That's my point.
But if they don't know how to, right? Because they were never taught, do you think that that's something that
I was never taught
Is
how to
the
own a
issue?
business. My parents never owned one. I've never seen my parents own a business. I now own 4 or 5.
right, but that's something you figure out along the way.
I watched my parents get a divorce.
Right.
I've
But you watched your dad work really hard.
Never considered that to even be a thought in my mind.
But you respect your dad as the role that he's in. And your mom was the mom. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, because for instance, in one of my marriages, he did have a healthy mom and dad relationship. And for the most part, I mean, that's how it went. Now, granted, I was,
Well, hold on. So I'm not saying that. Like, let's make this clear. Like, as men, I do believe there is an issue of men not staying around raising their kids. I'll make that very clear. Men are not being men, and that's the problem. But just because my dad did something does not mean I have to. That is not genetic. That is not passed down. Find me the chromosome that does that, and then we'll talk about genetics. It's not there.
I just wondered if they were seeking powerful women because they have only been raised by their mom. Does that make sense? Like,
Powerful women.
so women that, like when you and I met, I was very headstrong. I don't want to say I was powerful, but I was very headstrong because I had to raise the kids by myself.
Yeah.
I was forced to do things that I shouldn't have had to do.
100%.
But in the same sense, like when we came to, and we came together. You were like, listen, we are going to do this together. And that was one of the very first big fights we had. Like, either you're going to
Yeah.
let me in to help,
And
or
I-
I'm not going to be here.
And I 100% walked away at that point.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. So I'm like,
once again, it falls down to individual accountability. Like, it was very plain and simple. Like, I knew my role as a man, and I mean this in the nicest way possible when it comes to women. I really hope I don't offend people when I say this, because I hope you hear what I'm intending and not what's necessarily saying.
I'll fix it if I need to.
But there's never been a time in my life, as strong as you are, as whatever you are, where I've ever thought that you were equal to me in that sense.
Yeah.
And I,
Yeah,
and I
get
don't
that.
mean it like in a degrading way. It's just very simple. By the time I was 13 years old, I was probably stronger than you will ever be in your life, physically, as far as that part goes. I'm not saying like, emotionally or getting through hard times or any of that.
But I think that was great though for you to point out, because you did that even with the kids. Like, you made it very clear to me. Like, the first time, Trevor and the girls were wrestling and the girls got hurt, like, you went and had that conversation with Trevor. Like, you will always be stronger than the girls.
Yeah.
Like, you have to understand that, so
Well,
you
and
have to be gentle.
It's just like that, and it's, it's just I've never viewed you as someone who needed to protect me. I've never viewed you
Right.
as someone who's responsible for paying for me. I've never viewed you as someone like that. So I've never had those expectations with you, right? And like I said, I don't mean that in an offensive way. It's just that's never once crossed my mind, not because of anything. My mom worked my whole life.
Yeah.
I was 6, 7 years old getting myself on the school bus. Yeah, I know. I was getting myself on the school bus because my mom was already at work. So it's nothing like that. Like, I watched my mom work. I watched my mom work
Yeah,
my whole life, and
yeah.
she still does to this day.
Yeah.
And I watched my dad work. And so
But
it's,
do you think
it's
that's
nothing
where
like
some
that.
of their fights came from, though? Because your mom is very strong. She is a very strong-willed woman. Like, she has her ways, and she's very set in those.
Yeah.
And I respect your mother. Like, I truly do. But I do think she has a hard time letting a man lead the house.
Well, and like I said, that's the curse women were given.
Right.
You will desire control, but
Right.
you will be ruled
Right.
over. And that is, like I said, and that would be incredibly hard.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing with that I hope women understand is you're not doing that for your husband. You're doing that for God, right? God was the one who gave you that order, not the husband.
Well, and let me be
So-
clear, too. I think a lot of it comes down to, especially if you have PCOS, which we will do in another episode. I'm trying to get better at that. Instead of podcasts, it's another episode. But, yeah. But I think when your hormones are off, I've been in fight or
100%.
flight for so long, I genuinely do believe, like, we got my hormones balanced. And I think that's
Yep.
when a lot of things switched, was I really have craved to be at home and to cook
Yeah.
more and to do all the things.
Yeah, and
to-
our hormones are incredibly off, and like I
Yeah.
said, that's the thing, and like it goes back to the biggest thing I hope people understand if they get anything from me is I don't blame people for 99% of the problems they have, but it is your responsibility to own that there's a problem and to fix it.
Right. And that's what
So-
I'm trying to get at today.
Yeah,
is,
when
like,
it
what are
comes to
some
like the
things we
food and the
could have fixed?
hormones, like that's the thing where I tell people all the time, like think about it like this: if you were the devil and you had to reinvent the world towards how you wanted it to go, how would you do it? You wouldn't come out guns ablaze and all this crazy stuff. You would do subtle things, right? You would start making men, naturally,
Softer.
like women, like, all right. So ladies, you have your libido, right? We started you on TRT. You're on, I think, 10 grams.
I thought you were gonna
of-
arm
of
wrestle me.
test
I
a
swear I
week,
thought that's what
whatever
was
it was. One hand versus two. Just kidding. But
I thought you were gonna show
we
off.
started you on about 10 grams of test a week.
Yeah.
Keeps you less than 100 in total, right? So super low testosterone, but we'll say average for a woman, or at least healthy for a woman.
Which is lower than what I had when I had PCOS. So let's go ahead and
Yeah. So, but
or
Men
my levels
optimally-
are lower.
according to Harvard, Stanford, Tampa University that did these studies, men's bodies function best between 800 and 1200 total testosterone. Some argue 900, 1200, but that's the optimal range where their bodies function completely properly, right? This isn't Superman levels. This isn't anything crazy. That's true health,
Yeah.
not normal, which is what our insurance goes by nowadays, which is absolute garbage. But we can dive way deeper in that another time. So
Different podcasts with different people.
so anyway, so as far as that part goes, right? You have your libido you have, right? And women, I know there's times, and I don't want to get into that because y'all are naughty. But take that times 10. That's how a man feels.
Right.
So
right.
if I was the devil, the first thing I would do is, okay, if I take the leader of the household out, or if I cause whatever issues, whatever it may be, how would I go about this? So here's the easiest way. First and foremost, when he was in the garden, he tempted Eve first. He didn't go to Adam, he went to Eve. So how would I do that? I would make women feel frustrated. Hey, who says you're not better than them? Who says you can't work just like they do? Who says you can't do da 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 da?
But
You're
I don't
just
know,
as good as they are.
I don't know that that's been, and that's where it's hard, right? Because I don't know that it's necessarily the devil as much as we honestly just adapted to a situation that we had to. Like, it's not even that. I don't think that. That's what's hard for me. I think is
Okay,
it's
so,
not
So
necessarily.
I'll put it like this: for thousands of years, everything was done a very certain way.
Right.
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 The last 100 years, everything's changed.
Okay. Okay.
So something had to start the change. Change doesn't just happen out of thin air, right?
Right.
It's like something starts the change.
But like with me and you, I do see like what you're
Where's
saying.
my goat? Who didn't bring my goat?
I do see what you're saying though, as far as like, okay, what's to say? Because you and I've
Girl,
had
you
this.
see what I'm saying? You didn't let me finish my thought.
Well, you and I've had this argument though, right? Like we go back and forth, especially being in the workforce together. Like, no, I'm the leader, or no, I'm the leader, back and
You
forth.
didn't go back and forth, girl. You didn't even hear my thought out. Know what I'm saying?
But I think it's because genuinely I've always had to lead until I got with you, and then
Yeah.
it was a whole
So
thing.
let's go way back to what we were discussing, which is hormones. So we'll go way back to that because that's what you asked.
Okay.
So once again, if I did that, what would it be? Well, first and foremost, he started telling women, like, you know, being at home at mom is degrading. It's less than. It's XYZ, right? And all these things. And ironically enough, he wasn't dumb. He waited until it was safe for them to do that, right? Women weren't arguing 1,000 years ago, like, hey, it's time to go fight this bear. And they wanted to get out of the kitchen and go fight a bear. And as a man, you should never let your woman. Absolutely not. Now, if that bear came close to home, absolutely. Mama's coming out. She's going to do whatever she's got to do. She's grabbing the kids and running, or she's, you know, doing whatever she's got to do to fight that bear as best she can. But that wasn't the thing. So now that it was safe and it was just like, hey, there's no real dangers. They're just telling you to still stay home because you're not worth as much. Blah, blah. So they're whispering in women's ear, right? And then what do you do to men? Hey, dude, like, I know your wife's at home. She's bickering. Like, there's like 10 girls down the road who's willing to give you a little nookie if you just go on down there, man. Like, dude, it's $5. Dude, it's this, it's that, right? And we see these crazy things happen. What was the giant downfall of Germany? You know, when we look at the start of World War II, before World War II ever happened and Hitler came into power, right? What was going on there? They were the world-leading industry in porn. They were the world-leading industry in prostitution. They were the world-leading industry in sex changes and different things happening there. All these crazy things are happening, which is what? Hormones, right? It's messing with the chemicals in your brain, all these different things that are happening. And he took advantage of it. And he started having all these different things happen with people, right? So then from there, what happened? Hey, watch this. This food tastes good. What if we made it taste a little better? If you put this in, what if it tastes a little better? Now, all of a sudden, we have a food system where we have to eat to live, right? But there's all these chemicals in food, and it's almost impossible not to, right? And then we had more and more people being populated because everyone now was so on top of the world and trying to do things that we spiked our population out of control. So there's less land available because there's more people.
But we're
So
mass
we had to
producing
make-
at this point now too. So
Right,
there's
we
a
had
lot
to
of food that
mass
goes to
produce
waste.
food
Yeah.
in order to supply for the people. Well, how did we mass produce? We had to create better systems. We had to create pesticides. We had to create all these different processes
Hormones in the
order to be
food.
doing do that.
Yeah.
We had to create hormones to make the foods bigger and more, and you know, we had to get cattle bigger.
Yeah.
And it absolutely it translated over to us. So now we have people who we have all these new diseases nowadays that weren't around 100 years ago. And people are like, oh, it's because we didn't know how to diagnose it. No, it's because these chemicals and enzymes weren't in our food. They do studies all the time with modern day, like to this day, third world countries that we go through, and we have the technology to diagnose diseases.
Yeah.
And we go to all these other countries and none of them have it.
By the way, biohacking's become a really big thing, so stay tuned for that.
100%. And that's 100%. We go to these countries who don't have the USA food systems, and it's crazy. We look at even Europe, and Europe bans like hundreds of ingredients in our food because they
Yeah.
say this is illegal for human consumption. This is crazy. Why would anyone eat this?
Right.
And we're over in America like, oh, dude, Fruit Loops, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So, and it's crazy nowadays. And the worst part is we have these brands like those different cereals and different things. I'm not going to pick on a particular one, but we have these different cereals and different brands and different foods that sell foods to Europe by European standards without these chemicals and dyes and stuff just fine. But in America, they're like, oh no, man, I can make it more addictive. I can make it more colorful. I can make it more pretty, and people are going to eat it more. So then now we have a food system that is completely lined up against us, that's killing our hormones, which is killing our brain function, which is killing our thought processes and basic body functions. So everyone's on survival mode. We got husbands leaving the house because they're chasing booty calls left and right, and they don't want to step up and do what's hard and raising kids and providing for someone else.
But you
because
don't even
they're
have
so
that
caught
issue
up in
anymore.
themselves.
You have more men that just aren't wanting to work.
That's
I
just,
like.
yep, that's what I said.
I've got 7 right now. It's not that they want to leave. It's not that they want something else. They just want the women to
don't
take care
do
of them.
what's hard and
Oh.
provide for someone else.
Gotcha.
Verbatim what I said.
Okay. Gotcha.
So yeah, so I mean, they don't want to do that. They don't want to put someone above themselves. We have boys. Boys take care of themselves. Men will take care of their family, and a great man will enlarge that circle a little bit more. We have so many boys. We
Yeah.
have very few men. We have so many girls. We have girls who want to take care of themselves, want to chase their own dreams, don't want to worry about other people, don't want to do this, don't want to do that. We don't have very many women who own that this is my house, this is my family, I'm going to make sure my family's fine. Or great women who even take care of a handful of others outside of that circle. So, and that's
And women, I genuinely do believe within the last 6 months to a year, like I have a great community of women, not only here locally, but also that I have online. And it truly is who you surround yourself with. I mean, so many women in the groups that I'm in, you know, submit to their husbands and also talk about you can't step into business if your home is not in order. Your home will never be in order unless you do that. And do me a favor and start really praying on that, because I'm telling you, what you are choosing to allow in front of your kids is insane, because you're now passing this off to another kid. If your kids are still young enough to watch and to listen, please do me a favor and understand there has to be a shift. You have the time now, take it and do it.
Yep. Well, and it's no different with that. We talk about kids with society and stuff, right? And nowadays they spend however long at a school being raised and taught beliefs by someone else, being taught certain things have to be accepted because they take public money. You know, not being allowed to stand up for certain principles. You get punched in the face. They have to stand there and let it go, which is not biblical. Let's make that clear, because I know people love to throw that out there. That's not what that verse means at all. And now we have kids, and then they're taught at 18, you have to move out, you have to have a job, you have to have these things that a 30-year-old has. And so nowadays it's become so custom that they immediately move out, so they're forced to work. So that's all they ever know, versus like, no, man, like my daughter's supposed to live with me till she's 30, 40, 50 years old
Right.
and move out when she gets married. She's not supposed to be kicked out when she's 18.
But nowadays
Like, that's
that's
not a thing.
embarrassing. Yeah.
Young men are meant to work for the home and do stuff for the home until they're that. And if they don't
So
provide
do you
for
think
the
that's
home,
why
they're
you're
told to
seeing
leave.
more family compounds now than what we've seen before?
Yeah, people
Yeah.
want to get back to simple living. People
Yeah.
want to get back to loving each other and get back to it, versus this crazy society we've
I
been
love
taught.
chickens.
She does love chickens and ducks.
I would have cattle and, you know, all the things too, but, you know. I think we have forgotten how to do, and myself included. I think, you know, you yell at me about this all the time, that I always have to be doing something.
First off, I don't yell.
Well, that's true. But, you know, you get on to me all the time about how, like, you cannot ever just sit and be still. Like, you struggle with that. But I don't know if that's because it's in my natural instinct at this point to come home and clean and cook and do all those things after working, you know. So
That's
I think
not
that's
very-
the hard part.
That's never what I mean by you can't sit still.
Really,
No, when I say you can't sit still, it's
it's never good enough. There's always more to do.
yeah. You always want something different with your house. You always want something different with. You get bored with a car. You get bored with the bushes. You get bored with.
But that's where we
your
want to make
job.
things pretty, though, right? Is that like, I mean, Do you agree on that? Like we take it home and we make it pretty, like, or, you know, I can't even remember what that is, but something along the lines of like, you know, women will reproduce and they want to make things pretty and
Women multiply.
yeah.
So
You've said it to me before. I just can't remember exactly
yeah,
how you worded it.
women
like,
multiply. So if I give you a house, you'll make it a home. If
Yeah.
I give you foods, you'll make it into a meal. If,
Yeah.
You know,
There you go.
and that's where a lot of it comes from, and that's where I tell, you know, young men especially, or men getting married, etc. Like, you are the leader of the household. You dictate what flows in that river. So if you are peace, if you're calm, if you're this and that, your wife will be. If you're not, she won't be. Granted, that's not always the case. I know there's hormones and a bunch of different things that come into play with that, right? And her background and development and different things too. But if you're always upset, then she's going to multiply that and be upset too. Like, you know, it's a funny joke. Like, at least with men, I don't know if women know or don't know. I don't know, I guess. But like,
He's gonna give us a secret now.
a lot of men, like, we'll literally joke, like, sometimes, like, we'll, like, and I'm sure you've heard the expression, it's not worth the fight, right?
Yeah.
We'll literally sit there and be like, I'm not going to sit here and let her know I'm upset. I'm going to bite my tongue, because then she's going to be upset that I'm upset with her. Like, it's not even worth me
Facts.
being upset, because she's going to be upset that I'm upset.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's how things work, though. And that's the part of the leadership that comes into it, right? Like, you're leading what's coming out of your water source into the family. So
Yeah.
that's where, like, you know, even with us, like, you say whatever, I don't like to talk. I hate to talk about stuff, because I don't, like,
Oh, I know.
and I tell you all the time, like, you try to solve problems I don't have. Like, yesterday I started at 6:30 in the morning, got home, I think by the time I got off that GHL onboarding call, it was 10:20 at night, right? Doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
But you're like, this is not right, this is not okay, he's got to, I'm like, dude, let it go.
Right. But I think that comes from the natural place, and you know, a lot of women will probably agree with me on this. Is we want to be your calm, but I have been at work all
But
day
that's
long.
not what calm is to us.
But that's what I'm saying. Is like, I think we don't know how nowadays to be your calm and to be your peace.
All right, you ready? I'll fix that for you.
Yeah, but hold on though.
Here's what drives women insane. I promise you, I'll make this as simple as I can, and I'll give you a couple examples, right? Men are so extraordinarily simple that it pisses women off. That's the easiest way to put it. We are so simple, and one of the best examples I can give you is when we first got together. You came over to my room. I had a bed on the floor, a TV on. Maybe a nightstand. I can't remember what it was now. I had.
It was a TV stand, but it was like a older TV stand. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I had one dresser with some clothes in it.
Yeah.
And I had a closet that was probably less than 2 foot wide with some clothes hanging up in it.
Yeah.
And it drove you nuts.
It
I had
did.
no pictures on the wall. I didn't have anything like that. You went to the bathroom. I had a toothbrush, a tube of toothpaste, toilet paper, and one like 3-in-1 shampoo thing.
Yeah.
And it drove you insane. And I was so perfectly content and happy.
Yeah.
And it drives you up a wall. And I think the problem is that it frustrates you guys, because you think like, oh, you don't realize how good it could be, and you can do it. You can't do it. For us, it's like, no, you're making it more expensive. You're making it harder for us to provide. You're making it more complicated. But I don't care about any of this. Like, I can use this shampoo and smell just fine. I don't care.
But I
And
think
that's why I joke with the girls all the time, because you guys have 17 different facial products, and I'm over here like, I use the same soap to wash my face as I used to wash my butt, and I have no pimples. So maybe that's the problem.
Yeah. But
So-
I think that comes down to, again, A, an imbalance in your hormones. B, also, I mean, I'm not going to disagree though, right? Because I worked hard. So I felt like I wanted to have some kind of like reward for working that hard. So
Yeah.
I think that truly is the imbalance, because now that I don't work as much as I used to, don't fight me on this. I know all of you out there are going to tell me that I need to work less. I've heard it all week. Hang in there. But I still don't work as much as I used to, or stress as much as I used to, since I really started letting you take over. And I don't do a crap ton of Hobby Lobby trips anymore. I don't run to TJ Maxx 24/7. Like, you know, I do simple things. Like when I did go to TJ Maxx the last time, it was, we needed a new pan. I got you some socks. And I found one little thing that made me laugh and think of you.
And here's
So-
the thing, and I'll speak for all men as a generalization when I say this: stop.
Right.
If I want socks, I will buy socks. Like, it drives y'all insane, but I literally told
But
you,
you
like,
don't.
you're like, I need socks. I'm like, well, they're in my cart. As soon as we have a little extra money and I'm desperate, I'll buy them.
Right.
You know, like we joked, I'm like, dude, you have the same underwear you've had for years. I'm like, yeah, well, they're still clean. They don't smell funky yet. So when they do, I'll buy new ones.
Right. Right.
But they're not necessities. They're not needed. They're clean. Otherwise, why would I have a washer and a dryer? We don't want you to buy that stuff. We will buy the things we need just fine on our own. We've done it. I was 20 some years old, lived on my own for 4 or 5 years before we got together. Like, I can, believe it or not, I can buy that stuff when I need it.
Right.
I don't care about any of that.
But
it
I think
drives
I
women
stopped-
insane because the two things that we want the most in this world don't cost a dime.
Right.
And
But
it's
I think
very simply
we-
peace. Don't argue. Don't bring stuff up. Like, give us a moment just to breathe
Okay.
and a little something, something. And it drives y'all insane because it's free, and you're like, there's no way. And I'm like, we're happy. And
Yeah.
you guys just can't grasp that. And I'm like, no, we're good. That's it. That's all I needed.
But I think as you're starting to transition, and this is one of the takeaways that I will leave for women, as you're starting to transition out of constantly feeling like you have to reward yourself for working all the time, because by the time you get home, you're exhausted, you don't want to cook, clean, do all those things, so you want to somehow reward yourself, and you're trying to fulfill that feeling, right? That's when we go and make things pretty, right? So I would go to Hobby Lobby and be like, oh, we're going to decorate the house, we're going to do all the things, right? And I would spend a whole day and be exhausted. Versus now, you know, it's that transition of I'm still working. I'm still working quite a bit, but it's now become simple. I'm now starting to see the simplicity of it, right? So now on the weekends, I'm trying to make time to do sourdough or things like that. But I think it also becomes, it's that hard in between of like, I do still want to go shop, right? So, but it's like, okay, I'm still going to go based off of things that we need. So I knew he needed this. So I get that satisfaction out of, okay, I got to go shopping. I looked around. Everything was great, but I went in for a purpose.
Right.
And I think that's where it
like I
changes.
said, you can't sit still. You have to do in order to feel good.
Right.
You have to do. And the two most dangerous phrases.
I was actually just buying time that day, but it's fine.
The two most dangerous phrases in human psychology is I am and I deserve.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Because you will always think you deserve more than you have, and you'll always say you are less than you are. And the two things conflict, and that's why people fight themselves all the time. Right? When I say I am, if I
You
tie
are
that-
worthy of nothing. That was a
Okay.
That was the hardest phrase that I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
Well,
like,
and here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Let's be completely transparent with it. What do we deserve as human beings?
right.
We deserve death. That's what we
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
we deserve.
And that's going to be a tough pill for a lot of you. So hang in there, because that's rough
Yeah.
hearing that.
You know, that's one of the things I think drives people insane is we tie everything to this world.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
why we always feel so unfulfilled, because everything in this world will leave you unfulfilled. Everything is temporary.
Yeah.
So you get a temporary high, a temporary satisfaction, and then it's right back to what's next.
And you have to feel like you're
So-
worthy of something. Yeah.
Like, we want to be worthy of someone's love. We want to be worthy of a this or that, you know?
And the only thing you should ever feel worthy enough is to be able to sit at the feet of Jesus. Like, genuinely, that is by accepting your Lord and Savior.
Feel worthy for that.
Right. Well, but what I'm saying is, though,
How can I
is
say I feel worthy for something? How can I say that because I did all these different things, I'm worthy enough that someone willingly got tortured and killed for me? Like, I'm not worthy of that.
I'm not saying that you're
Absolutely
worthy
not.
of it. I'm saying that you have accepted him
No,
and that you
he-
can now.
He is worthy for me to sit at his feet.
Okay,
worship.
that's kind of
Not the other way
yeah,
around.
yeah. That's what I was trying to get at. So I
As
apologize for the
John said, I'm not even
miscommunication.
worthy to lace his sandals.
Right.
You know.
To grab his
So,
garment, anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's
I
what
know
I
what
meant.
he meant.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
change the phrase.
way out of context.
But you know, when people say I am, they tie their identities to earth all the time too, and then
Yeah.
that's why they always feel lost. Like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I want to do.
And it's like, yeah, because everything you're searching for is in this world. You're going to get bored with it. You're going to want to move on. You're not going to be happy. People are going to change. You're going to change. You're going to move around. They're going to move. And the game's going to change. Like, you'd be like, oh, dude, I love this sport. And then all of a sudden, 3 years, 10 years later, the rules change. Like, this sport's stupid now. It's like, yeah, dude. Well, who are you now? I don't know. Well, you're still the exact same person. Just something you enjoy is now different. That's not who you are.
Right.
You know? If you tie I am to anything in this world, you've already went wrong, right? If I say I am a business owner, what happens in 2 years if the gym's closed? Who am I?
Right.
I'm not a business owner. I'm a son of God. I am a follower of Christ. That is who I am.
But see, and that's where, so here before long, some of you that have been following along that are wanting to do coaching with me, that is one of the biggest questions that I ask is, who am I becoming? And that's tough.
Yeah.
That is so tough for a lot of people to understand and also to be able to answer. You know, because it is the most vulnerable statement that you will ask somebody is, who am I becoming? And something as simple as I am becoming, some of you who are listening that have been in my very first challenge will know this. One day I said, I am becoming, and I try to always lead it this way, but I am becoming a daughter of Christ and someone who, like I put in there, I am someone who loves to sit with my duck as, you know, they play in the bath. And that sounds so silly, but it is something I genuinely enjoy. And I think when you can start identifying things that you enjoy, you know, that is what genuinely brings you the joy that we should be focusing on, that God has instilled in us, right?
Well,
we focus on the
Bible
negative.
says, I will give you things to enjoy.
Right.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I enjoy playing video games. I enjoy sports. I enjoy lifting. I enjoy.
He enjoys
being
funny
around
reels
people.
for anybody that wants to know.
I enjoy laughing. I enjoy joking. You know, I enjoy
He does.
lighthearted things like that. Bad dad jokes. Doesn't matter what it is. I enjoy those things.
Darius has way too many. You need to put that on the screen, so everybody can see.
but I enjoy those things, but that's not who I am. And the problem is, whenever our enjoyments start becoming idols, that's the problem. What do you do most of your day? You know, and I know it sounds cliche, and I'm not bragging on myself, and I don't want it to seem that way at all. But like, dude, I pray probably 50 times a day minimum. Like, there are so many times where I'm just like, God, like I just don't know what I'm doing. Like, I need your help with this. Like, I hope this.
Don't overcomplicate it.
Prayers are just supposed to make conversations with your Father. They're not meant to be some recital. They're not supposed to be that. Like, it tells us very plainly, do not shout up empty phrases. You know, like, we're not supposed to do any of that. So,
He hears your heart. If you don't know how to pray and you don't know what to pray, He hears your heart.
Yeah.
You're overcomplicating it.
But, you know, and I'll pray with them, you know, at least 50 sometimes a day, if not more. You know, even when I'm driving, just small things. When I'm typing on a computer, when I'm going through stuff, like all right, like before I work out, you know, just while I'm working out, you know, whatever it is, like, and then, you know, I downloaded, I finally swallowed the pill, which was so hard for me to do, but I finally downloaded an audiobook version of the Bible. And, you know, I'm like, hey, you know, I read audiobooks all the time when I drive. Like, why not tie this in as well? So, you know, I've went through 3 books in the Bible just between my drives the last 2 weeks back and forth here to Richmond and Connersville. And I still do my other audiobooks for my personal development and different things too. But, you know, who you spend the most time with, who you're chasing, who you're thinking about, that is your God on this earth. And a lot of us switch our enjoyments, become so predominant in our life that it's all we think about, it's all we want to do, it's all these things.
It
and
is.
all of a sudden we feel addicted, we feel like we can't shake it. We have this identity crisis because when we can't do that, we're not this, we're not happy, I'm not having fun, life sucks. And it's like, yeah, man,
it is.
well, like,
yeah.
it's because you're chasing earth, and earth does suck. Like, yeah, these things are temporary. They're temporary highs. They're gonna fade. They're gonna go away. Like,
and that's where a life worth living comes from, right? Like, when I genuinely talked about this recently, a life worth living, in my opinion, is finding joy. It's so hard to explain when you're going through it. And even like when I've talked to you about it, you know, you are such a simplistic guy that you're like, okay, but life was not meant to enjoy. But I'm like, hold on, you're not.
That's not quite it. But go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll elaborate on that phrase, but go ahead.
Yeah. But it was also the way that I was wording it too,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, because I wanted to get to a point of where I was living a life for God, which means I am the light, I am the joy, instead of being negative all the time. I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm angry. You see what I'm saying? A life worth living to me is finding the simplicity of all the things that God has provided for us. One of my favorite ones that I throw back all the time, and you'll remember this, I've told you on repeated occasions, I was completely broke, couldn't even afford toilet paper. I had 3 small children, no idea what I was going to do, and I was completely exhausted, but I still wanted my kids to see the goodness of God, right? So at that point, I knew the only thing I could do was take them to the creek and let them play. And I remember sitting there that day, and that was one of the many times that I found God, which is why I have like a huge connection with the outdoors and God, because I can find the most simple connection with God when I can go to those memories. And just also being there where I am being still, versus you can watch Netflix all day long, you can go to Hobby Lobby, you can go to all of these places, and you're never going to feel fulfilled until you start finding the joy of things He has provided us. In the basic foods that you eat, can genuinely make you feel better. The water that you drink can make you feel better. But if you're trying to overcomplicate it, right, which is why drinking well water is better than, purified water at this point, and simple things like that, going and sitting in the mountains and enjoying nature and things like that will make you feel way more fulfilled than, sitting and watching Netflix or playing a video game for 4 hours. I'm just kidding. Charlie's like, denied. I definitely feel
First
better
off,
playing my
I hadn't
game.
even had an Xbox in over a year.
I didn't
and
say
she finally gets
Xbox.
me a PlayStation, and she's like, "Oh, he's playing his PlayStation." I'm like, "Yeah, I've played it for the first time." And I didn't have over a year. I
Right.
didn't touch. Like, what are you talking about anyway?
Yeah. But I mean, with you though, the simplicity of playing your game is knowing that your wife is sitting there, your kids are taken care of, you love when the windows are open, and you just get to sit there and enjoy, right? It's not the game
Well,
itself.
and it takes away the thoughts of work, right?
Right.
And it's not just that. I hate playing video games by myself. Like I've never liked it. I've never been good at it. I don't do it. I hate single player games. This
He
is
begs
not
the
my
kids
thing.
all the time to play with him.
So for me, like, when I play, even if I play now, because she bought me a PlayStation for Christmas this last year.
He threw me under the bus.
First off, she yells at me. But no, I'm just kidding. But if I do play, like I play on like live. For those of you who don't know what that is, it means you get to play with people wherever they are. They can be at their house or whatever. And for me, I get to play with other people. So I'll hop on there. There may be random guys, or whatever, and it's just literally there were like 4 or 5 guys. Sometimes there's gamer girls, whatever they call them nowadays. But usually it's mostly a bunch of dudes. We're in a lobby together, and we're just razzing each other, right? Like, dude, you suck. You really just got killed by him. Like, blah, blah, blah. Like just dumb stuff. But it's fun. I'm around people. We're just laughing. We're joking. We're having a good time. And it's simple. It's like when I was a kid, and me and my couple cousins on a rainy day got to play Nintendo 64. We got to play GoldenEye together, and
But it's like
just
anything
simple,
else,
and it was
though.
fun.
It's like anything else, though, that is not from God, right? Like, it can become addictive, and that is what you're seeing in a lot of men nowadays, or boys, I guess I should say. Oh, sorry. It can become addictive because it is not something, we
In your
should.
defense, I didn't know what he was doing either. So.
Yeah. We should crave, nature. We should
Yeah.
crave, interactions with
Yeah.
people, but
Well,
we
and that's the
don't.
thing. I would rather go outside and play sports any day of the week. I'd rather go outside and throw
Right.
a football. I'd rather go outside and shoot hoops. I'd rather do any of that. Any
But
day
it's
of the
cold
week.
and we're old and we hurt.
Well, and it's not that. It's like I live with a bunch of girls.
That's true.
Like, and even when
Facts.
Trevor was home, Trevor didn't play sports. And if he did go outside, it's because he was, I'm gonna go try to blow smoke out of my diesel. And I'm like, okay, cool, dude. Like, whatever that means. Which
But
is
that's where
whatever.
we've
That's-
taken away woodworking and things like that, which were things that a lot of men did. They built things, they did things. And you know, you just don't see that nowadays very often because video games have replaced it. And it's just like Netflix with women. You know what I mean? Like,
I wouldn't say it's the video game that replaced it. It's more of, right, if God gave us simple things to give us endorphins, make us feel good, have all these things, right, and we get to do events that are exciting, right? Like for Friday night, for example, I'll relate it to me. Friday night was so exciting because you got to get with your boys, you got to play a football game and do these things, and that
Right.
was awesome, right?
Right.
What happens in a video game? I get to experience that 5 times in one night,
right,
right? I can play 5 different football games in one night,
right,
right? So I get this giant surge of endorphins from what I used to get in one night, 5 times one night. Now I'll tell you right now, for me, it's never going to be the same. Like I don't care what anybody tells you, it's not the same.
No.
But for some people who never experienced that, like I could see the difference. So for girls, you know, and women, I'll kind of call out that you guys are the exact same with your romance movies. You get to live
Right.
15 different experiences as 2 people falling in love and a guy doing this and that and all these different romances and all these different situations, which is meant to be a once in your life thing. And those special moments, and now instead of having special moments, you get to see 3 or 4 moments every 2 hours on Netflix, and you can see these moments over and over and over again, and that's where you're like, dude, my relationship sucks. He don't ever do this kind of stuff. It's like, well, in the movie, this is supposed to be over like a 3-year span, and you see it 4 times, but because you're seeing it 4 times in a 2-hour window, you're like, oh, my husband never. I'm like, well, he's probably bought you flowers 3 times in 4 years, like. And that's the thing. You get to live so many lives at once, and that's why movies are so popular, because they're like, dude, I would love to know what it's like to be an NFL commissioner and see what it's like on draft day. And then you watch a movie called Draft Day, and all of a sudden it's like, I felt like I lived that, man. And it's like, you didn't.
Yeah.
Like, you got to see a Hollywood remake of how this could be cool and all these things that happen. It's probably not even that close to real.
right.
I mean, I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but whatever. But you feel like you're experiencing that life, and then all of a sudden your life feels plain, it feels blah, and it's the same thing with social media. You see all these highlight reels and all these cool things, then your life feels blah, and it sucks, and all this other stuff. And it's like, well, you're seeing one clip of something, not the whole day.
Right. Which is why I tell people how important it is, instead of sitting and scrolling, it's so much more important to, and I'm terrible about it myself, you know, because so many people ask me, you know, why don't you start posting about your life and what you do? And everybody loves my day in the life things that I've done. And that's great, and it looks amazing to them, but I think it's because we've all gotten to the point of where we all just want to live somebody else's life so badly that we don't record ourselves. Ours seems very blah. Ours seems very boring. And I think that's the hardest part of all of it is trying to, I think we need to restore balance first, you know, and figure that out.
Most people want, most people don't want to become.
Right.
And that's the problem. They're like, dude, I would love to be like that. That'd be so cool. Can you imagine how great life would be? And it's like, yeah, but you're not willing to do what they did to be in that position. So,
Right.
like, you want that, but you don't want to become it. Right? It's all the time. Like, I would love to lose 100 pounds. Okay, well, you just chose to eat a cupcake instead of your meal prep. So, do you really want it, or did you want that cupcake? You don't really want it. You think it'd be cool to be 100 pounds less, but you don't want to do what it takes to become 100 pounds less.
Right.
And that's
People
the
no longer
uncomfortable
want to
truth of it.
invest in themselves. That's the problem. They want to watch everybody else's life
Yeah.
and basically ignore their own. Which,
Well, and like I said, the highlight reel takes away the grind.
yeah,
You get to see the successes. You get to see the Olympics. You don't see the 3 years and 364 days in between where they're doing nothing but working on this sport. Like Usain Bolt said it best. He said, I trained 4 years to run 9 seconds.
yeah, yeah.
Right? He trained 4 years of his life nonstop for less than 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, dude, that would be awesome. And it's like, dude, you can't even train 12 months for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Let alone 4 years for 10 seconds.
Right.
And like that's where I feel like people just fail that concept of, like I said, it's not about being, it's about becoming. Like when you do, you will become. Like I'd love to be 100 pounds less. Okay, well you have to do what people do when they weigh 100 pounds less.
Yeah.
Like, do you exercise regularly? Is that what you're going to do the rest of your life? Well, do you make better food decisions every single day? Is that what you're going to do the rest of your life? Well, So
Which is
these
where,
are the
like-
things that translate to that.
Which is where like GLPs make that easy, right? They take it away. But
No,
when
but go
it's
ahead.
abused, right? Like
Yeah.
if you use it to assist you, it's a beautiful thing.
100%.
But, we take things and then we turn them and make them terrible, and that's the hard part, I think, with a lot of it. And I do think at first it genuinely makes everybody feel better because they're starting to, GLPs are great at balancing your hormones.
That's not what they do, but go ahead.
Well, it can, as you start to lose weight,
That's because inflammation comes out of your body and et cetera, not the
Right.
GLP itself, but go ahead.
Well, per usual, I feel like as we normally do, got completely off topic. So, what is some things over the last 10 years, if you had to give advice to people, whether it's young men or it's new relationships or something like that, what would you say need to be priorities or things that we did that you are like, I wish I would have done this better?
Okay. First and foremost, I wish I would have actually owned the role of being a Christian and a follower of Christ way earlier in my life. I wish I would have actually been reading the Bible for myself, doing studying for myself. I wish I would have actually done more. I attended church my whole life. I grew up in church. I'd been there, and I felt like I learned more the first year of reading the Bible on my own than I did in 20-some years of going to church. So that would be my first and foremost. Then I would say work on developing yourself. Become, and then you will be, right? So if I want to be a business owner, I have to do things that business owners do, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and then I will become a business owner, right? If I want to be a husband, I need to do things that husbands do, that men do, and then I will become one, and then at that point I can find a wife. I think some of the biggest issues people have nowadays is they try to, like I said, develop other people. They try to find certain things, find potential, find et cetera. And that's not what we're supposed to do. And I think that's why we have so many issues nowadays with relationships. Like, oh, he changed or she changed, and oh, this is different and that's different. People are so desperate. The Bible tells us that if you don't find a wife or a husband, it is better for you to stay single the rest of your life than what, et cetera. The Bible tells us better to
Absolutely.
live in the corner of a roof than it is to live with a nagging wife. Like it's that serious about who we pick as our spouse. And I think that's one of the biggest issues, because that can lead to obviously issues you pass down to kids. That can lead to other issues in your life.
So can I ask you, I'm going to intercede for a real quick second.
Where's my goat?
Sorry, I know.
That's usually my
But
line
you
every
were
time I
talking
go,
about,
Where's my goat?
yeah. You were talking about a nagging wife. So when we first got together, and I want to say realistically, probably.
Talking about nagging wife, but I know what you mean.
No, I mean, like, realistically, though, because you know me, I'm not that person that's afraid to call myself out. Like, up until I feel like maybe 2 years ago is being generous, but I feel like really just like a year ago, I feel like I was that person. So, I mean, do you feel like you just knew all along, like, that it was going to get better? Or do you, like, was that something that you just prayed on? Or, because there's a lot of people out there that really probably are struggling with this. Like, okay, I really see what you're going to quote unquote say potential in a person, but when do you give up and when do you walk away?
Right. So first and foremost, what is potential versus what is, right? If you're like, man, I think he could be, oh man, I think like that is hopeful potential, right? Saying what someone is and what they're becoming is completely different. So, right, if you're looking at this guy and he's a great guy and he does all these things, and he works hard and he's honest and all these things happen and et cetera, like, I know he's a great man, right? That is what you're looking for. It's not, I think he can become a good man.
Right.
Like, that's completely different.
Right.
I feel like most people caught up like, oh, I think he has the potential to be a great provider.
Still on. It's the
Oh, yeah, it's
Tomato.
noon. Okay. Sorry, the local alarm went off. We were trying to figure out what it was. But I feel like people look at potential and they try to look at like, oh, I think he could be a good husband. I think he could be this and that. Like, that has nothing to do with what you're looking for, right? Like, when you're looking at a man to marry them, it is this a man that I trust as a good man and as a follower of Christ, that I will let him lead and dictate what I do, even if I know it's wrong and I advise him and he still goes the other way? Will I still be willing to follow him because I know it's for the right reasons and it's the right potential, right? Or is it you're sitting there like, I think he could be a good man and I've known him forever and it seems like he has a good heart and, you know, I think this and that, or, oh, he comes from money, or, oh, he's, you know, that's garbage. Like, ask yourself the honest question. If I disagree with him and he says we're doing this, will I still follow him without complaint? And that is seeing the person versus the potential. And that's the difference. With you, and when we got together, it was very simple. Is this woman someone who's going to push me to be better? Mm-hmm. Will she hold me accountable when I'm not being who I'm supposed to be? Do I trust her to be a mother and raise my kids? And, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Does she believe in God? And if, heaven forbid, something happened to me, could I trust her to do the right things? That is what I look for in a wife, right? It tells us that we should pick someone we can go to war with, right? And that was never a hesitation in my mind. As far as you becoming who you are today and the stuff you went through in the past, like, yeah, I knew a lot of that stuff. I knew you had hormone issues. I knew you had some different things, but I knew who you were. Mm-hmm. Things that you went through and things that you did are completely different. I knew you had some mother bear tendencies. I knew you had some past scars. I knew you had some things that were going to take time to heal. Mm-hmm. And that's different, right? That wasn't who you were. That was, I'm not going to let someone subject my kids to X, Y, Z, right? Which is why when we started dating, about that 6-month mark, when you broke up with me for the 18th time on a Saturday night because I was going to the gym to work out.
I was probably like 25 at that point.
Probably. Well, there's 26 weeks and 6 months, so 26 times.
Okay.
Wow. So anyway, at that point, I simply grabbed my stuff with the few pieces of clothes I had there, and I walked out. I said, fine. I'm not going to keep fighting for this. If you're not ready to make that commitment and move on, then I'm not going to commit to you. Yeah. And when we came back at that point, you know, that was kind of when it was like, okay, like, you have this role. And then that's why we dated for however long. Like, I know there was times, and a lot of people don't know this, but she actually proposed to me once, and I told her no. Yep. I'm sure that's uncomfortable to bring up, but whatever.
No, not really.
Yeah, but she proposed to me, and I told her no. And I told her, when I am ready, then I will propose to you. Mm-hmm. It's my job to propose to you, not the other way around. And I'm not bashing or anything like that. But at the end of the day, I didn't think she was ready, and I didn't know if I was ready, right? So I wasn't going to do that to her, the kids, or to myself.
Took 4 years. 4 years, by the way.
We were married in 4 years. Less than 4 years. 3 years and 11 months, actually. So, anyway, but that was the big part of it, right? It wasn't anything like that, but it was very, very plain and simple. And I know I'm stubborn-headed with a lot of things. I know I'm bullheaded. I know I don't want to say stuck in my ways, but to a degree I am. And, you know, I made that very clear to you, like, hey, like, I will do whatever I have to for this family, but these things I will not change. And, you know, I'm a very upfront and honest person. I'm very transparent when it comes to 99% of things. So I'm going to tell you exactly where things are, exactly what I think, exactly what it is with me. And, you know, I'm not like being a jerk about it. It's just honest communication. So for me, it was very plain and simple. Like, you know, we can get married. Like, I'm ready, but this is how this is going to go. And if you're okay with that and you know this up front and, you know, XYZ, then yeah. Mm-hmm. And after we had those conversations and stuff, then, you know,
March 20th of 2020, I proposed to you in Gatlinburg. So, that was my biggest thing with it. It was a very clear expectation, and it was very set clear from the get-go, which is what I advise every couple to do, is have those clear expectations, have clear things set, be completely transparent with each other and understand. And what is compromisable, compromise. Your non-compromisable things, don't compromise. You have to make your non-negotiables non-negotiable even to yourself.
And women, I think from an aspect on my end, what I am going to tell you is that you need to not be afraid to be alone. At first, you have to do that. When Charlie talked about the 6 months after being together, I remember distinctly I had called him, and for the first time in my whole entire life, I actually wanted to be alone. That was when I knew I had found somebody who A, respected me, B, truly wanted to be with me, but that was terrifying from coming from previous relationships that were terrible. So don't be afraid to be alone. Also, like I had asked him, I 100% understand if you walk away. There was no manipulation there. I asked him to truly be my best friend. Like I cried in his arms, and I knew 100% that there was still, he was done. He was walking away, and that was fine, but I needed my best friend, so I didn't go to another man. I didn't want to. I wanted to feel that hurt. I wanted to feel that pain because I knew that he meant more to me than just trying to fill a void. So don't be afraid to be alone. That's terrifying and it feels exhausting, but you have to not be afraid to be alone in order to find a man. You can't have my husband, but like my husband, you will then find somebody who respects you and who honors you versus, treating you like you're just another one of the females that came along. So, and then for men, from my side, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to walk away if you need to, but hold yourself to that standard. Hold yourself to that role of being a man, and that you are going to lead, even if the woman bucks you. Because it is one of those things where I think it is very hard for us to respect you if you constantly just give up. Because most of us are having to come out of the role of being the one in charge. And you have to not be afraid to, put your foot down and say, I am here. I, am in this role, and you're going to respect it or not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that goes both ways. Men, you have to be willing to step up and lead even when it's
Yeah.
uncomfortable. There's going to be times. If you're not ready for your family to be pissed at you, you're not ready to be a husband and you're not ready to be a father. You have to understand
Facts.
that there's going to be times you make decisions and they're all going to be pissed at you and they're not going to understand it.
Yeah.
And women, on the other side, for the man side, it would be very simply, most men, like I said, will seek peace. They just won't think it's worth it to have you mad at them or argue. So if you try to step in and you try to make decisions and you try to this and that, he's going to be like, you know what, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
And he's just going to choose the peace over it and go about his day.
Right.
So, and men, you can't do that. Like, you need to get the uncomfortableness out of the way, and you need to lead the family. And women, that's why it's so important for you to make the decision, right?
Yeah.
And every animal in the world, it is the women's decision who they breed with, who they, that's obviously a very animalistic term, but in our case, who they marry. It's your decision. So if a man's with you, proposes to you, he's not living to the standard, he's not being a man, kick him out. Be done with him. Move on. Don't waste your time. Don't waste his time.
Yeah.
Move on. He's a boy. He's not ready. Move on.
And the
Go
hardest
away.
concept you will ever have to endure as a woman is understanding that the man will change for who he wants to change for. And women, if he's not changing or leading into his role as he should, you're not the woman for him. And that's a hard concept. Some men don't need that, right? But some men do. And that is a hard concept. So you have to understand that.
Yeah, please do. Yeah. There's never a time I've ever seen a man who truly loved someone who he wasn't willing to do anything and everything he could for.
Right.
Now, sometimes you're going to disagree with what that is, and that's different than him not willing to, right? So please understand that. But if it's something where you're arguing with a dude to get a job and you're working and taking care of kids or whatever else, get rid of him. There's never been a time that we've ever been together I wasn't making money. That is insane. Now, I'm not saying there hasn't been times that she's had to work.
Yeah.
You know, it's 2026. It sucks nowadays. It is what it is. But
Yeah.
there's never been a time where I've kicked my feet up and been like, you know what, she's got it for a while. I deserve a break. That's not what I agreed to. That's not what I signed up for. So understand that. And then understand at the same time, you know, boys will be boys is exactly right. Boys will be boys and men will be men. So if they're out there and he's getting drunk and going with his friends and, you know, looking at other girls and doing dumb stuff and et cetera, he's not ready, you know. That's just the cold hard facts of it. Like, it's just, you don't look at new cars unless you're thinking about buying one, right? Or you're imagining what it'd be like to ride in it. So it's no different.
So, if you guys want, leave us again in the comments what you'd like to see or what you'd like to hear. Don't come tell me personally. Leave us a comment. That helps. That helps boost our
Comment,
stuff.
follow,
Yeah.
tweet it.
Yeah. Share it. Do all the things.
Twitch it.
Yeah.
Purple app it. I don't know. All the fun things.
Bop it. Whatever.
Bop it. Twist it. Pull it.
But yeah, so don't come tell us personally. Please comment, please share, do all those things if you want to continue to hear stuff that we have to talk about, or if there's something you want us to talk about. Please don't hesitate. If there's things that we've already covered that you'd like for us to elaborate on, we're more than happy to. This is honestly just for fun. It gives us a chance to, I really think, you know, even get to know a little bit more about each other. And we genuinely just do this for kind of an hour break to really kind of check in with each other. So this one was completely off the cuff, not something that we even picked off. I have a list here of stuff that we try to go through. So this one was one that came from you guys that you guys wanted to hear about. So again, just keep letting us know, but make sure you put them in the comments, share, do all the things. So.
And we'd be more than happy to elaborate our thought process on something or why we think it. If there is a specific topic or a specific question, drop it below. We'll chat about it.
And until next time, we are
Married too.
See you guys.